Hello, Brabs. I'm back with more books. New book arrivals, that is. And I'm going to sit on this book, The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, a novel, just so I can hook some Barnes & Noble reading housewife into looking at the video. Then she'll be totally shocked by the absolute absurdity of this channel and myself. But yeah, let me see if I can tap into the algorithm. Of course, YouTube generally highlights only the portions of the video that I don't want them to. So we'll see. The longer I stay on there, probably the worse odds that they will put this on there. But yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to sit here all day. I don't care about this book. I got it because it was 60 cents. Well, you can't see it on there. It's by Quirk. I wonder if it's... aren't those the people that released the zombie Jane Austen books? Maybe not. The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. Patricia Campbell's life has never felt smaller. Her husband is a workaholic. Shut up. Listen, I don't really think of these kind of books as books. I consider these an abuse of paper and ink. Though most of these do smell rather well. Yeah, I'd also believe that they put perfume on the pages of these new books to entice people. I know it's been said that the new book smell is just a common occurrence of chemical reactions, but I've smelled 7-year-old books that still smell like that same perfumey smell. I can't tell unless I stand right in front of you so I can see both ears at the same time, Kitty reassured her. Is it that obvious? Patricia asked, reaching up and smoothing her hair down over her scar. It just makes your face look a little cattywampus, Kitty said, and then she caught Loretta Jones's elbow as she shouldered past them in the crush. That's pretty... The cattywampus... that fucking reminds me, bruv. That fucking reminds me. See if I can find the book. Because I picked up the book The Spooky South. I think there's... Is that the Wampus Cat? No, it's the baseball game. Anyways, I have a... I don't think this is the book, but... in one of these iterations of the Spooky South kind of series. What is my book called? Anyways, it's got a thing called The Wampus Cat. And since I have many relatives in the South, yeah, so it's not in this one apparently, but there is a cattywampus. But then again, this is the Southern Book Club, so it's an insider thing, so you wouldn't know what the Wampus Cat was. I do, because my life is just that. Let's see what we got next as this pile falls down. Come here, motherfucker. Shot at Armstrong, mischief. I was very struck by this ghoulish face. I mean, what the hell is that? But then I was looking at some books of Charlotte Armstrong, who I don't think I've ever heard of. Kneel like a cat, was like lightning across the room. She had the standing ashtray, heavy thing, in her wild hand. She swung it up Jed's lunge, and Jed's upraised arm missed the downswing. The thing cracked on Eddie's skull. The detachable portion of heavy glass clanged and boomed and echoed on the tile, and Jed said something hoarse and furious and snatched the thing out of her hands cruelly, and Nell jabbered some shrill syllables. All at once the noise was frightful. Only Eddie made no noise. He sank down very quietly. Superb Mystery by Charlotte Armstrong, one of the few authentic spell-casting witches of modern times. Frankenstein, Mary Shelley, or the modern Prometheus. Probably wouldn't have purchased this, but it was a Barnes & Noble book. And since I'm the anti-Barnes & Nobles, I always pick up Barnes & Noble books, especially when they're $1. Watch me peel a sticker. As I've said before, I have nothing against Barnes & Noble, but I only go there if I'm really looking for a book that is hard to find, and they're the only ones that have it. Otherwise, I'd go there about once. I used to take my kid to buy manga there. So it's not that I won't go there, but I won't go there for myself because I'm looking for, what's it called? Quantity, not necessarily quality. Although I do think my books are quality from the thrift store. Shirley Jackson, The Haunting of Hill House. I think I have several different versions, not versions, but several different editions. One of them is inside a Reader's Digest book somewhere in this house of clutter. House wouldn't really be that cluttered if I stopped going to thrift stores and buying books and then have to. It's not so much that I buy books, it's that I have to catalog them. And that's where the problem arises, because 20 or 30 minutes spent doing these videos to catalog them in case of vampires or hurricanes or fire, earthquake, which is unlikely in Detroit area, but yeah. I started doing these because, as I said, there was a lightning strike or a fire or whatever, tornado. I would have proof that I owned all these books, and then the motherfuckers at the insurance place would be replacing all me books. Wouldn't they? That would be amazing, honestly. Not that I want to get smashed by a hurricane. I want to keep calling a hurricane. Tornado. Detroit Electric Scheme. I believe I have this in hardcover, but the only reason why I bought it is because he is a local author, Detroit area, and he mentions the local asylums and habitués. So I pick them up when I see them, which isn't very often, surprisingly. What the fuck did I just see over there? God damn these centipedes. I love that there's centipedes down here in the basement where I sleep. Really encourages me to take a nap. An Indigenous Peoples History of the United States. Something which I think is redundant because all history is the history, but a lot of people believe that history has been whitewashed, more or less, with an intent on the white man having washed it. And to some extent that's true, but then again, I guarantee this is subjective towards native indigenous peoples as well. So, in the end, there's really no objectivity in history writing, which is why much of it has zero relevance to me, except as a factoid. Very few people agree on the same things as far as history, politics, religion, anything. So, but I still bought the book because why not? The Vampire Armand by Anne Rice. Always hoping for a signed copy, since I found one or two. Was not to be, but this is a rather nice paperback. Nearly in mint condition, except the pages are a little tanned. The Secret of the Great Pyramid, how one man's obsession led to the solution of ancient Egypt's greatest mystery. Bob Brier, Jean-Pierre Houdin. What's next? My interest in the Great Pyramid much of it came from Graham Hancock's book, The Mystery of the Sphinx. And his theory that all that Egyptian Giza plain is not as old as people claim it to be. But I'll buy any of those sorts of books. Detroit in World War II, Gregory D. Sumner. Obviously being the Motor City, it's also, hey, there's Kinsell's, a defunct department store. What's this, all women? No, there's just the chapter on women. Obviously, since Detroit was, or still is, the auto capital, it had a big part in the manufacturing of artillery and machinery for the killing apparatus on this day in Detroit history. And yes, Frida Kahlo was part of Detroit history as her and husband, what was that guy's name? Frida Kahlo, and I can't think of his name. He was that Mexican artist. I can't think of his name. He did several supposedly important murals. What was his name? The big guy. Mad Anthony Wayne and the Battle of Fallen Timbers. Although the Americans had defeated the British in the Revolutionary War, the British clung on to western regions of the United States. The Battle of Fallen Timbers was the final battle of the struggle for American control of the Northwest Territory. George Washington ordered Revolutionary War hero General Mad Anthony Wayne to build and lead a new army to crush resistance to American settlement. He was called Mad due to his terrible temper. Wayne's new army, the Legion of the United States, made up of 2,000 Kentucky soldiers and cavalry, would fight 1,500 native tribes with British reinforcements. The head of the Indian Alliance, a leader named Misiaco, an Ottawa chief the Americans called Turkey Foot, took a defensive position along the Maumee River near Toledo, Ohio, where a stand of trees had been blown down by a recent storm. Hence, Fallen Timbers, Wayne's force won a decisive victory. In 1796, General Wayne entered Detroit at the head of his army and formally took control of the city from the British. On the same day, Wayne County was created and named in his honor. The city I live in is also named Wayne, and it's also notable that as soon as Mad Anthony Wayne left Michigan. He died en route to his home, which I think was in Pennsylvania. So yeah, his last days were spent here. Frida Kahlo, what was that artist's name? Automatic writing, and I didn't notice this fucking the graffiti on this cover. You got a dancing skeleton with a hat between his leg bones. Something that looks like the ghoul, a turkey. God knows what that fucking thing is. And then there's that. So I'm not sure what that is either. A guy laying on a fire on a table or on a spit. And then there's some poison look wood only. I don't know what the hell that says. It's supposedly automatic writing. Pretty funny, honestly. Although they wrecked a rather valuable book by doing so. Second edition, 1963. Dr. Muehl has applied the method of automatic handwriting for discovering what was going on in the minds of her patients, which was inaccessible to ordinary questioning. But Dr. Muehl is not a psychiatrist of the 19th century, but of the present century, with a broad background of clinical experience and a knowledge of the work that has been done for the past 25 or 30 years in unraveling psychic mechanisms. With this training at her command, automatic handwriting presents a much richer material for interpretation than ever before. Yeah. And for some reason, I didn't even notice that when I picked the book up. I saw automatic writing, and they all looked white to me. Maybe because I saw this first, and then I just looked at that and just glossed over all the graffiti. But the rest of the book is in rather immaculate condition. Only I could whitewash it. Wash it. Look at my crackers going. New Age Vegetarian Cookbook, The Rosicrucians. I only got this book because of the other book I bought last week. Where is it? Somewhere under this pile. I really need to stop fucking making piles. No, I won't. That's how I do things. Simplified Scientific Astrology by Max Heindel, which is the author of this one as well. Although it doesn't show his name there. I think it's on the spine. Heindel. I assume these are made by the same company. And they were donated by the same person, but they ended up in two different thrift stores. As I've stated previously, my one thrift store, which used to get the lion's share of book reinforcements, has now stopped putting out huge bins, so who knows. And I've driven around town to the various stores to find out where these books have all gone, but I'm not sure where. It's unfortunate that the district manager had to ruin my way, but no, I'm getting more books regardless. So yeah, these apparently, I guess the Rosicrucians are New Agers or vegetarians. I didn't know that before. Didn't really care, and you can see that the covers are similar. And they're made to look old, but they're not old. 75 isn't exactly new, but yeah. It's not the 1920s. I don't know if this Heindel guy was himself a... Look at that, Ella Wheeler Wilcox, which is what set me on this journey of the Rosicrucians. I read something from one of her books that I have right here, and then it mentioned her husband had died, and early in their marriage they had made a pact that whichever died first would try to contact his loved one from the beyond. And after several months, or maybe not even months, weeks, she had heard nothing from him, so she contacted Heindel. I don't know if she was a Rosicrucian herself. Honestly, I don't really know much about the Rosicrucians, so she contacted him, and he suggested that she continue to focus on the message and not so much receiving it, and let it happen. And she supposedly heard back from him, etc., etc. But I don't know if these Rosicrucians were vegetarians. I'm looking for Heindel's name in her, but I don't see it anywhere. Don't really know anything about the guy, but or the Rosicrucians, as I've said 43 times here. But damn, these people could eat. They had a whole. I mean, they got everything. They got everything. If they got any pumpkin dishes. But yeah, that's crazy. Crazy. I keep finding these books. Gives me hope that there'll be more of them. Barbara Michaels, Search the Shadows. A novel by the author of Shattered Silk. I only got it because it looks like a mausoleum. I don't know if it is or not. This is just gothic romance. And I'm going to read what it's about. You know what it's about. It's about goths. King Arthur and his knights. Another subject I don't really know much about. Jean from Mother, 1935, Christmas. I understand King Arthur and chivalry, but I don't really know where it came about. The Merlin and all that bullshit. The Wizard Bewitched, 187. Let's look at that. Pigsty Prince. I can't do it. I can't do it. As I was arriving at the stall where I picked up these books, The Volunteers of America, several of the workers were unloading and pricing books, and I picked several of these up. This one mainly because of this McDevitt of Detroit trade label. Apparently this book actually has some value, though. Sans its original jacket, and the jacket completely, it loses some of that value. Still worth $1. Easily $1. What else do we got here, bruv? Don't tip over, you bastards. How many more books do we got? Oh my god, that's heavy. Beer can collecting. My brother is a he used to be extreme beer can collector. I used to go to shows with him, and there's some really great cans, honestly. But I was really amused by this Kmart book 666. Beer is the devil. Now, there really were some amazing cans. I know now they have a lot of artwork, but none of those cans, none of the modern artwork comes close to these old cans. It's just something about the old cans which will never be duplicated. Never. Old frothing slosh. And people were just, look at that. King Snedley's. What the fuck? Unbelievable. Okay. Bring back the 70s and 80s. This savage life we live. Ben Truman. Look at these cans. Yeah, that's right, the nude ones. The so-called porno cans issued by Denmark's Irma supermarket. I don't know if that was Irma Vet. Or is that Amana beer? Look at those. Can't exist anymore looking at these. This actually depresses me considering how great manufacturing was back in the day. And we've become a throwaway plastic society. These cans are just fucking extraordinary. Everything you can think of. From the simple, classic look to kitsch and, I don't know, just amazing. Bear cans really do showcase the innovation that used to be present in manufacturing. And now everything's just mass-produced rubbish. For the most part. The taste of beer today is much better, but that's the whole point. These guys were basically selling macro swill in extraordinary cans. And they battled for supremacy through their advertising. Erta, I believe, is his name. At 90, the complete graphics. Had this book been more than $1.01, I wouldn't have purchased it. You can't see it, can you? There you go. Had it been more than $1.01, I probably wouldn't have purchased it. And looking through it, it's not really my style, but the book's worth $20 or $30. So, I mean, these are okay graphics for like a junior college artist, but I wouldn't call it great art. I don't know if it is considered great art, but it's interesting. Look at that. It's rubbish. Hopefully this guy was doing advertising. Like I said, this is something you would put on the back of a pack of cards. Oh, shit. The fucking book is heavy. A lot of value out of this book for $1.01. I also got a cool percolator here. Alright, I'm done. Can't do anymore. Could do no more. Goodbye, bruv. Good boy.